My name is DOUBELL, and this is just a short presentation on defined contribution fund benefit statement. It's a continuation of some work that I did about 6 years ago for the convention, and I was asked just to do an update on that to add some pensions content to this year's convention. So if you're watching this during the convention, I hope you're enjoying the time in the main convention as well. This will just be 20 minutes update on benefit statements and some international learnings. I thought it's useful to update this and have a look at what's happening internationally. Many countries internationally are recent converts to the DC world, where they previously were very much into defined benefit funds. But defined contribution funds are much larger impact, having a much larger impact internationally. And they can start where we finish off, where we are currently. So I was hoping that there'd be a few things that we can learn by looking internationally, and how can we apply that to the benefit of our South African pension fund members. Looking at let's just jump into the presentation. I'll be very quickly going through the background and what happened since the last presentation, and then moving into the international comparison, just seeing what's happening internationally. And where we are standing at the moment is we've got EU Circular 86, which is sort of the main one that specifies what must be shown in benefit statements. It's fairly basic, and there's not very much in there of sort of the important things that we want to see as net replacement ratios and current value of pensions and so forth. But it specifies the basic information that needs to be shown. PF 130 came in later with the communication policy and requirement for funds to communicate effectively and pointedly to members. So that, together with treating customers fairly, gives us, as sort of the pension fund environment, a responsibility to communicate in the best way possible to our members. Many funds have a wider strategy in terms of how do we communicate to our members in a way that gets their response. So it's wider than just a benefit statement, which was previously just an annual piece of paper that you received. Now it can be interactive through apps, through websites, communication strategies, ways in which you can get benefit projections done. So there's a lot wider area of communication open to members, which many funds are utilizing. So yeah, I mentioned the websites and apps that are being used, and they often provide very good information. Replacement ratios, projected values, current value of pensions. So a lot of what I'll be talking about today. But I think the focus of my talk as well is to say, well, shouldn't there be wider regulation that forces even the laggards, the funds that are not doing the right thing, for them to be obligated to show relevant and appropriate values or benefit members or values to their members. Since the presentation that I did in 2017, there were conduct standards, draft conduct standards issued by the FSCA. I think 2 versions have been circulated. Last one, 2020, feedback was given in, but from my last queries, due to the high volume of work that the FSCA is struggling with, those are going to be on the back burner and not receiving active attention, I understand it. But I'm hoping that which contains, we would need to get some guidance on benefit statements with the two-pot system in place. So I'm hoping that the projections would make its way into that as well. So the 2 conduct standards that we issued, one is on benefit projections. How do we project benefits to members into the future and then convert it into a pension, sort of the basics of benefit projections. And then the second one was more on living annuities, relating to the fact that many funds now use living annuities as an in-fund strategy for annuitization. And the big thing there was sort of those drawdown rates. What can we apply as pension funds for in-fund living annuities? So the benefit projection statement information there crucially was that it required them to show a monthly pension in current money terms. So what is the present value of the expected pension that you will be receiving one day? That number that any member can say, well, to I can't live off 5,000 rand per month, I must be doing something. So the communication around that is, I think, the challenge for funds. But the core for us is actually to say, let's get a present value, a projected present value of pension out there. The standards stated that you should mention the risks and assumptions. Also talked about the conversion to pension and assumptions around that, and caveats and warnings and so forth. So that's all part of the benefit projection statement. In terms of the living annuities, there were some important information that's required there that talked about the sustainability of the living annuity income. How long until your real value of your income starts deteriorating, or how long until your capital starts running out. Things like that was put into the living annuity kind of standard, well, into the living annuity portion of the standard. So the benefits projection one said that you needed to specify replacement ratio. And also what I think is very important is to talk about the difference between the cost of company salary and the pensionable salary. There's no use showing a 90% replacement ratio based on a projected pension fund salary or pensionable salary, but your cost of company salary is 50% higher than that. So how do you communicate relevant information, not just technically correct information, but it's relevant to know that a member is not living off his pensionable salary, he's living off his cost of company or his salary in pocket. That's the thing that we need to connect to. So yeah, so there's various disclaimers that were mentioned, and the assumptions were specified, said that the valuator must be involved yearly for us, but no, important that the valuator should be involved and it should be relevant to the assumptions that we also use in the valuation, and should be consistent with the benefits projection, other ways that a fund may provide information to members via apps or benefit calculators and so forth. So that's the basic of the benefit projection one. Living annuity standard, we talked about the sustainability. It must be measured against the pension increase target of the fund. That target must be less than 2/3 of inflation. And then I talked about the discretion or how to measure that sustainability of income. Is it a drawdown amount paid for the lifetime of the pensioner? Should it be an income that is sustainable in terms of lifetime, also in terms of inflation? So how long does it take until the capital can no longer support that drawdown? So those aspects were related or were discussed in the living annuity kind of standard. Then also importantly, the drawdown standard, drawdown rates, the recommended rates, and also then the maximum drawdown rates. I know lots of feedback was given to the FSA in that regard, but the crux of the matter is that from the standards viewpoint, the funds must aim to have a 90% chance that the living annuities should be sustainable in the long run. And I think we can all have stories to tell about people that are living at age 65 or for 12% drawdown rate. That's definitely not sustainable in the long run. And we must get that information out there through the pension fund, partly if that's the pension that's running through the fund. Going internationally, the UK was something that I had a look at that had some recent changes in that. In 2021, they brought out regulations that talked about a simpler annual benefit statement. Now, it's interesting in our day, we look at many different ways. And it's a long time since I've heard, the standard is maximum 2 pages A4. So it's a double-sided A4 format. That's the standard. You can't put more in that. And that information must adhere to certain standards. Importantly, it must show the current balance, how much was saved last year, how much will you have when you retire, and how much would that be in a pension. And then importantly as well, what actions can you take to improve your benefit outcome. So those are the aspects that was mentioned in that standard. I'll tell you an example just now. Here it is. On the right-hand side is just another visual that I thought quite interesting. It's sort of a one-pager that just shows that the annuity drawdown. What is your income if you take a drawdown in current money terms, and in the middle sort of the total cash value of the pension. At the bottom also an annuity number, but that's based on an insurer value, so insurer pension type number. Apologies. But the main two-page statements on the left, you can see the money at the start, how much came in, how much we end with, sort of a breakdown there. And then the next page on the right-hand side, that's the second page of the statement. At the bottom, there's some actions that you can do to improve the outcome. But at the top, sort of increased a bit in size on the left, shows the projected plan value in current money terms. And then on the right-hand side, how is that converted into a pension? So that's sort of the basics of the new guidance. The projections or the projection assumptions are set by the regulator, but produced by a third party, and that's reviewed fairly regularly. The inflation assumption here, together with the salary increase assumption, both 2.5%. Interestingly, just a few years ago, the assumptions in inflation still 2.5%, but then salary increases were at 4%, just I think about 5-6 years ago. So it's interesting that even there's quite an element of volatility in the benefit statement that the member will receive. Another thing that I thought interesting was that the investment return assumptions are not related to past investment returns or even bonds, equities, that sort of thing. It looked at volatility of assumption and sort of a basic volatility formula. Based on that, you classified in different categories, and that then you set the accumulation rate used for the pension. So annuity assumptions, fairly detailed set out. This is what we must use for conversion to pension. And so interesting, no spousal pension in this one. So 5-year guarantee period. So that this is the basic assumption that's used for the UK projections. And lastly, on the UK, found it interesting to see that they've got some sort of a centralized system. Money Helper is the provider. It's sponsored by government, as I understand, but this pension-wide system is a place where there's centralized information that's available to all members. I believe that it takes the occupational pension and puts the government pension together with it. But importantly as well, if you, I think above age 50, you have got a free consultation with this pension-wide system. The independence is paid for. So a centralized system where good quality information can be disseminated. So it's a similar system in the Netherlands that I talked about just now. In Ireland, running through that quickly, but the basics is that also assumptions that are set by government. They've got a high road, low road type scenario. They use the current long-term asset mix to determine the asset investment return assumptions. But basically the same as the UK, requiring a present value of the projected pension to be shown. And annuity conversion assumptions also set out by the regulator. You can see they've got the actual spousal pension that they must use in their projections. This is an example of the benefit statement. Fairly basic one. I think many in South Africa have got the same information in it and quite a bit more. But you can see the present value, the current value of the pot, the projected value of the pot, the two bar graphs on the right-hand side. So sort of on the left-hand side is the money that you should be aiming for, that you might need, and on the right-hand side, where you are currently with a pink bit, the shortfall that you need to fill up in some way. Went to Italy, similar, also set projection assumptions that are issued by government, and then annuity assumptions as well, mortality is specified. I see the net interest rate for the assumptions is 0 at the moment. So let's see what the low interest rate environment is doing to these projections. Netherlands, interesting, their system is very different to the normal system where occupational funds are run by the employer. They've got large industry-wide sector pension schemes, massive pension funds that they're working with. And very interesting when I talked about my colleague there to say, well, what are your guidelines for benefit statements? He almost didn't know what a benefit statement was. He said, yeah, there's probably something there, but they don't use it very much. The reason for that is they've got a centralized system there that is that everybody can get to, and that shows the whole pension view, a current view of your current pension from the different funds, and together with that, it provides projections. So all of that is now in that one website. They basically don't even use benefit statements anymore. It may still be a requirement, but very few people pay attention to that. Again, the benefit of centralization, that can have some benefits of scale advantages. In America, annual statements, but interestingly there to see that in a DC fund with individual member choice, you've got to get a quarterly statement. So it's basically a way, I would think, to show the risk of taking that active approach in managing your assets. Again, the spouses pension scheme seems to crop up here as well. They need to show two lifetime income streams, two pension streams. One is a single life and one is sort of a joint life annuity. That's two incomes that need to be shown. The annuity conversion assumptions also set, and something that I missed that, but it looks as if they only show their benefits in terms of the savings that are saved up to now. There's no projection of future contributions that's brought into the projection and then discounting. So it looks as only a statement of what you've saved up to now, and what does that translate to in terms of the pension. Okay, finally, just a quick recap the next steps. It's so important to engage with members in a way that they understand and that they can hopefully react to. So just an encouragement, we are involved in pension funds. Please use your influence to help get those benefit statements better if that's the main channel, or improve the communication to members so that they can get information that can help them make a better outcome for themselves. I've seen fantastic examples of benefit statements when I went through this. Also, some aspects where some funds that focus on the employer, where they get the employer to understand what the outcomes for his members are, and then the employer often gets involved to help with the communication to members to get them to save a bit more. So that's I think that's an important role play as well that we shouldn't neglect. At the start, I mentioned that there may be a change to the projection statements or the benefit statements requirements that the regulator comes out with. Basically, well, mainly to show the two-pot system in action. What are the two-pots? How is it accessible? So if that comes in, I'm hoping that the projection statements also gets a part in that, so that we can start getting that all funds or all members of funds to get access to a projected present value of pension that they can relate to and take action on. I think another aspect that is crucial at the moment is the sustainability of living annuities, not only in pensions but in the individual products. And many people focus on the investment side of things, and the sustainability of drawdown is neglected, or people just hope for the best. Frasco recently did a great presentation in modeling different outcomes or the probability of sustainable outcomes in different investment scenarios. So, and it basically shows that a lot of members are in danger of running out of money in a few years. And that's something that is actually something we need to take responsibility for, to get that message early enough. Basically, that's it. I'm hoping that you found something of use out of this, and enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you.